Thanks for coming out here tonight. Welcome to the 2015 Board of Education Candidates Forum. Hey, we have some more latecomers coming in. Hi there. Before we start, how many people are here new to Florida High School? I did some work with the Maritime Aquarium this summer, and we learned about tourists and people who are new to a place. Oh great, this is going to be on our cable channel, so people will be hearing this one for months now. The second most asked question at the Maritime Aquarium in Norwalk is, where are the seals? Anybody know the first asked question to the volunteers and the employees at the Maritime Aquarium is? Where's the restrooms? Already got asked twice here tonight, right out the door. 409, you can't beat it. Right out the door, right across the hallway. So once again, thank you for coming out, everybody. I want to introduce our candidates. Please welcome Ann Grosso-Arnold from the 1st District, Democrat. Democrat from the 1st District, Patrick Caselli. Republican from the 1st District, John DeRosa. Republican from the 1st District, Michael DeGrego. From the 2nd District, Democrat, Susan Glennon. 2nd District Democrat, Jennifer Federico. 2nd District Republican, Frank Busante. 3rd District Democrat, C. Robert Sahi Jr. 3rd District Democrat, Sonia Bannon. 3rd District Republican, Susan Krasinski. They like you. Tom Jagodzinski, 3rd District Republican. 4th District Democrat, Earl Whiskeyman. 4th District Democrat, Jess Gregory. 3rd District Republican, Isla Tokar. 4th District Republican, Lee Lepper. 5th District Democrat, Claire Casey. 5th District Democrat, Phil Zetti. And 5th District Democrat, 5th District Republican, I almost got him all right, William Farrell. Oh, he switched parties, what the heck. So welcome to the forum here at Ford High School, deep in the, what district are we in here? We are in the 4th District, right? Yeah, 4th District here. Milford, where it's, we're trying to simplify things for you to make things even more simple. I think every single one has about 7 or 8 political signs on it. It's a nice harvest this year. To make it even simpler, we've got blue and white signs to the Republicans, and we've got blue and white signs to the Democrats. So it's really easy to understand who's who here at Milford. I want to read the rules here first for tonight's forum. We just talked about it. This is not an argument. We're not going to be taking any questions from the audience. We have questions ready from the PTA. This is just sharing a philosophy so we get to know our candidates here for the Board of Education. So these are the rules. Written questions were submitted by Milford's PTA and PTO groups in advance. Members of the public, of course, are invited. All questions were screened by a panel of the Milford PTA Council to assure the questions pertain to the role of the Board of Education members. Questions will be asked by me as follows. One candidate for the Republican Party and one candidate for the Democratic Party will be randomly chosen from 2 separate hats. All right? It's the season. A coin toss determines which party will answer first or second. The winner of the coin test gets to choose the preference. A question will then be randomly selected from the 3rd hat. No John Joyner this time. And as the first candidate determined by the coin toss, the same question will then be asked of the other candidate. The process continues, alternating which party will answer each round of questions first, based on the original decision of the coin toss, until all candidates have had a chance to answer one question. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question. This is the important part, a few people ask. 1 warning bell will mean we have 15 seconds left. And 2 warning bells mean that your time is up. There will be one final round of questions where each party selects one candidate from each district to answer the question. So the final round will have 10 questions and answers. Candidates again will have 2 minutes to respond, which includes time conferring between the 2 candidates from that district. But only one candidate will answer that final question. No verbal action, please, between the audience and the candidates. No throwing anything, please. And this is not a campaign, this is a philosophy, and we'll get to know our candidates. So once again, a big hand for all our candidates. Let's get to know our candidates first. We'll start with Ann from the 1st District. Please introduce yourself and give us about a 1-minute elevator speech.
Good evening. I'm Ann Grasso-Arnold, running as a Democrat in the 1st District. I have an engineering degree from Virginia Tech and currently work as a technical writer. I've lived in Milford for 28 years. My 2 children attended Milford Public Schools. They graduated in 2011 and 2014, and they're both in college now. I was an extremely active parent during their school years, PTA, sports, drama, post-prom, all the other organizations I could join, a couple of newsletters for the various schools. I believe that the most noble work of any government is to provide public education. It protects a society from ruin, provides for its people a better way of life, enriches the lives of children, and maintains the society's values at the highest level possible. The Board of Education is the steward of the promise the city has made to its citizens, and especially its children. With this promise comes the responsibility to not only educate our children, but to keep them safe and healthy in body and mind while they're on our watch. That's my 15 seconds. Or am I done?
About a minute, yeah. Go ahead, you can finish this off.
I believe that we must invest in more programs for our elementary age students so that when college admission time comes, they're not playing catch up with the districts around them. We must strive to always further support arts education and innovative science education at all levels, challenging students to reach for their greatest potential. We must help every student, reaching out to those families in need, providing extra for those who need help getting ahead, and challenging our most gifted to not simply coast to graduation, but excel into their greatest learners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. I'm going to ask your timers, even on the opening blurbs, 1 bell for 15 seconds, 2 bell for the time's up. How's that? Okay. 1st District Democrat, Patrick Caselli.
Good evening. My name is Patrick W. Caselli. I reside at 7 Beth Ann Circle and have been a resident of Milford since 1999. My wife Lisa and I have 2 young children, Dominic and Dante, who currently attend Mathewson Elementary School. Dominic is in 1st grade and his brother Dante is in the kindergarten program. I'm a graduate of Salve Regina University and I hold a degree in business management. I have 20+ years of corporate experience in supply chain solutions, transportation, warehousing, and logistics. Through my professional career, I've held key positions in business management, business finance, revenue generation, and human resources. I believe that education is the single most important part of our children's future. With a solid education and a good upbringing, I believe that each of our children will be successful in the future. Thank you.
Next up, 1st District Republican, John DeRosa.
I'd like to thank all the members of the various PTA councils, all the running for the Board of Ed, and those that have submitted questions but not here. For those that may not know me, allow me to provide a brief introduction. My name is John DeRosa and I'm running for re-election after serving my 1st term. I'm a lifelong Milford resident with deep roots in the community, married for 21 years, raised 2 children that have gone through the Milford education system, and they've begun their post-high school education careers. I have been involved in local sports, coaching organized baseball, travel softball, basketball for more than 15 years. I've been and actively involved in Oyster Festival, passing the Arrow campaigns, volunteer for Special Olympics, as well as been a volunteer captain for the National Relay for Life, for which I am a 2-time cancer survivor. I graduated from Quinnipiac University having earned my Bachelor of Science in Management and an MBA in Management Information Systems. I've been employed at Hubble Incorporated for more than 20 years as a regional manager of network services, and I'm currently an adjunct professor at Quinnipiac for more than the past 10 years. I feel with my experiences within the local volunteer community, my work experience and educational background, I can assist to bring the Milford education system forward Thank you.
Next up, Michael DeGrego, 1st District Republican.
Hello, I'm Mike DeGrego. I'm in my 3rd year, District 1 on the Board of Ed. My passion is to teach our children and to get the best education they can in the city of Milford. I'm a retired police officer. I graduated Iona College, and I was a forensic detective. When I was in the Air Force, I retired as a Master Sergeant in the Air National Guard after 20 years, and I was a foreign policy lecturer. Many of the young recruits used to say, "Gee, Sarge, you should become a teacher." And being a teacher is what I did. I wanted to go back to school and get my master's degree. Because when I was walking 7-year-olds across the street to school, I saw that they ended up with drug abuse later on, and I wanted to help them. And I feel like I'm right on the board and doing the right thing and getting things done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, 2nd District Democrat Susan Lemon.
Hi, good evening. Again, thank you to the PTA Council for organizing this forum so that the public can get to know us a little bit. I'm Sue Glennon, and I'm completing my 2nd term on the board. I'm the current chair of the board and liaison to PTA Council. Most of my adult life has centered on children. For over 25 years in my business, I've spent my days with little ones from infancy through kindergarten and sometimes ages beyond. I've invested many years in our school system as an active, involved parent of my own 3 children who graduated from Milford Public Schools, and my hope is that my grandchild will enter JFK in a few years. The success of the school system is very important to me. If it wasn't, believe me, I wouldn't be up here. I feel that as a community, it's important that we are all vested in our schools and work together to make our schools the best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, 2nd District Democrat Jennifer Federico.
Hi, I'm Jen Federico, Board of Education candidate in the 2nd District. Thank you to the PTAs for having us here tonight and for everything you do. I'm the proud mom of 2 kids in Milford Public Schools, one a high school freshman and the other a 2nd grader. I have a degree in accounting from UConn, an MBA from the University of New Haven, and over 20 years of experience in corporate finance working with budgets and financial matters. Additionally, I've served on PTA boards as treasurer and parliamentarian. I believe with this background I bring a lot to the table as a board member because I understand both the parent's perspective and the financial or taxpayer perspective. I believe in transparency in government, so you'll always hear me asking questions at board meetings to make sure topics are clear both to me and the public. I believe in challenging the status quo. I don't accept the answer the way it's always been. I think when there are challenges, we need to employ creative, outside-the-box solutions. With my children in the public schools for almost 10 years, I know where the system has been, and with 10 more years to go, I have a deeply vested interest in the future.
Thank you. Next, 2nd District Republican Frank Musante.
Hello, and I'd like to thank you all for coming to the forum and PTA holding it. My name is Frank Musante. I'm running as the Republican candidate for the 2nd District, and I attended Jonathan Law High School where I graduated. I now attend Housatonic Community College studying political science, and I'm still a very active member of the community. I help volunteer my time at the Jonathan Law girls soccer team and would like to congratulate J.D. Rhodey on his win versus Foreign yesterday. I also like to say that I believe we need to bring fiscal responsibility to the board. We have a tax system, but we also need to spend taxes wisely. We need to make sure our kids get the best education while doing it though. We need to make sure our kids arrive to school safely. We need to make sure that they learn. We need to teach less. We need to test less and teach more. Thank you.
3rd District Democrat C. Robert Sadi Jr.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the PTA councils for having us here tonight. My name is Bob Sadie, and I'm presently on the Board of Education in an appointed position as of August of last year. I served with the board as a majority leader. I've been active in education for many, many years, moving here in 1980 and raising 3 children in Milford. I've been active in community activities, including Milford United Soccer for many, many years. I'm still a certified soccer referee. I was a Boy Scout leader. I was involved in about every sport my children were involved in, so I've been used to the community I live in. I was the first chairman of the Milford Ethics Commission in 2006. I'm a graduate of the University of Notre Dame, Suffolk University Law School. I've been employed by the state of Connecticut for 35 years. As a member of the Board of Education, I've come to be very thankful to the help that the parents give us. I understand the issues necessary to go forward. Thank you very much.
3rd District Democrat, Sonia Bannon.
Hi, my name is Sonia Bannon. I grew up in Milford. I went to KF School, St. Gabriel School, and Jonathan Law High School. I graduated from UConn with a bachelor's in sociology and worked for a family business. And then I got the bug to teach, and I went back to school and received an MAT from the Sacred Heart and a master's in science in integrating technology into the classroom. I taught in Connecticut for 5 years, I taught in Arkansas for 4.5 years, and I taught in Costa Rica for 2 years. Currently, I'm not teaching, so I'm taking the opportunity to run for the Board of Education because I want to stay active in education. I love education. I want to be a voice for students and teachers. And I want Milford to be the best that it can be, one of the top school districts in Connecticut.
Next up, 3rd District Republican, Susan Krasinski.
Thank you. As Brian said, I'm Susan Krasinski. My husband Kurt and I have lived in Milford for 22 years. We have 2 children. Our son attended Milford Public Schools, and our daughter is currently a student at West Shore Middle School. I've been involved in the schools and the PTA since my children began their education. I was co-president of the JFK PTO and was honored to be selected as the Parent of the Year in 2011. Currently, I'm the chairperson of the book fair for the West Shore PTA, and over the years I've been involved with many organizations that serve the children of our community, such as Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Junior Achievement, and Pop Warner. I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out tonight and listen to us. I believe that the Board of Education position is one of the most important that our city has, which is why I regularly attend board meetings to be aware of what's happening in the district. These are the people who decide the policies that directly impact our children's education and their future. And as a parent with a child in the school system, I feel that parents are underrepresented on the Board of Education. Thank you.
Next up, 3rd District Republican, Tom Jagodzinski.
Thank you. I'm Tom Jagodzinski from the 3rd District. I've been attending board meetings for the last 10 years, speaking out on issues with our schools. I have a granddaughter attending Meadowside, but even if she didn't, I'd still be passionate about this subject. I believe we all have an obligation to provide our kids with the best possible education, and that a quality school system is crucial to the success of our city. I've visited Milford schools and talked to principals and teachers and found them professional and enthusiastic. I visited classrooms full of bright, articulate students with a clear love of learning. But can things be even better? Absolutely. Our students and community deserve it, and I'm excited by the opportunity to help make it happen. I hope I'm elected to the board, but even if I'm not, I'm never going to stop speaking out and working to improve our schools. Thank you.
4th District Democrat, Earl Whiskeyman.
Thank you. I've been involved with education all my life, from the earliest days as a student, when I became excited about learning, when I realized that you never ever learn everything. There's always something new to learn every day. And I enjoy that, and I continue to search out new opportunities to learn something new every day. You never run out of things to learn. And I hope that enthusiasm for learning gets passed to all the children, my own 5 who've gone to the Milford schools and have all graduated and moved on in their lives at this point in time. Along the way, I taught at the University of Fairfield and served as an IT director at the Naugatuck Public School District, where I learned both from an administrative viewpoint and from an operational viewpoint how school districts actually function. And therefore, I think I can bring something to the Board of Education and to give some insight into the policies that affect the operations and to the evaluation of the superintendent. as well as to looking to have a balanced budget that serves the community as well as the students. Thank you.
You had 4th District Democrat Jess Gregory.
Good evening. Thank you for taking your time to get to know me and my worthy fellow candidates a little better this evening. My name is Jess Gregory. I'm a professor of educational leadership and policy studies at Southern Connecticut State University. I'm a lifelong resident of Milford. In fact, my parents met in elementary school band. Before becoming a professor at Southern, I was a chemistry teacher for 10 years. And so I know a little bit about education from the teacher's side. My first job teaching was actually in the Milford Public Schools. I know a little bit about education from the scholarship perspective from my job as a professor. With your vote, I would actually know about education from the Board of Ed side, so I'd be a walk-on. I want to ask difficult questions when I'm on the board, and I aim to keep the needs of children first. Everyone deserves respect, and I respect my fellow board members, and so I'd like to represent the people of the 4th District.
Our 4th District Republican, Isla Tokars.
Good evening, and thank you to the PTA and the PTO for having us here, for everyone here in the audience, listening to our fellow candidates. My name is Isla Tokars, and I'm running for the Board of Education for the 4th District in Milford. I've lived in Milford for over 24 years, and currently live in the Point Beach area with my husband, Patrick. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Connecticut, and I've been employed for United Healthcare for over 20 years, currently serving as a manager of compliance and regulatory affairs for Medicare. I'm a product of public schools, not in Milford. I actually went to public school in Bridgeport, and then private school, so I can see both sides of the coin there. And I hope to bring a fresh set of eyes to the Board of Education in Milford. I keep up to date on everything through newspapers and reading all the different articles and opinions. But I think it's important to bring some fresh eyes to ensure our students are getting the best education possible and letting teachers teach. So thank you.
4th District Republican, Lee Lepper.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee Lepper. Along with my wife, Pam, and my 2 daughters, Heather and Carrie. We've lived in Milford for about 14 years now. I graduated Penn State with a Bachelor of Science in Horticulture and have been in my field for over 40 years. I am self-employed and service over 350 accounts throughout Connecticut and New York, representing over 50 manufacturers. My customers will attest that our working relationships between us are based on trust, honesty, service, and compassion. I served on the Connecticut Florist Board and implemented many programs and ideas that have helped improve that industry, but knew it was time after 8 years that others needed to take over and participate. We formerly lived at Bridgeport, but when my daughter Carrie was ready to enter high school in a special ed program, we knew it was time to move, and Milford seemed a wonderful opportunity and gave her the opportunity to grow in what she was going to be learning. I watched and listened throughout their schooling, observing their positives in our educational system, but also other areas that needed attention. I recently chose to run for the board, knowing that my ideas and leaderships are a must for the city. Experience both the regular and special education programs of my daughters. I hope to have an opportunity to work with other members to jointly make decisions that are good for all of the students. Thank you very much.
5th District Democrat, Claire Casey.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Claire Casey, and I am currently serving on the Board of Ed representing the 5th District. And I would also like to thank PTA Council for sponsoring this event and for all of you coming out tonight to meet us. I have been very fortunate to have called Milford my home for the last 27 years. It is a wonderful community. I have 2 children who have attended Milford Public Schools. My son is a PE major at Central right now, and my daughter is a junior here at Foreign. I have been teaching in the Diocese of Bridgeport for 25 years, and I have also been involved in various community activities as well as PTA. There is nothing more important than the education of our youth. They are our future leaders, our teachers, our scientists, our doctors, and even some who may aspire to public office. We must make sure that all of our students are given an opportunity to gain the knowledge and skills that will enable them to succeed in their future endeavors. And I am grateful for the opportunity to serve our community and to make every effort to make good, informed decisions on behalf of the citizens of Milford. Thank you.
Next, 5th District Democrat, Phil Zeddy.
Hello, folks. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Phil Zeddy. I live over on High Street in the 5th District. I'd say my best qualification for the Board of Education is my perspective as a teacher. I've had various perspectives, and I've also been very successful as a teacher. I think I really know where resources matter in terms of student success. I taught 5 years out of college in Japan as an ESL teacher in the public school, so I have that perspective. Very different, very efficient system. I came back to America 7 years ago, married my wife, came to Milford, and I've been teaching chemistry at Stratford High School for 5 years. I'm an advanced placement chemistry teacher. When I first started that program, people said, oh, Stratford's a bunch of dummies, they can't do that stuff. But last year we actually had some of the best scores in the state. So I hope you consider me. Thank you very much.
And our 5th District Republican, William Farrell.
First of all, I'd like to thank the PTA for giving us this opportunity to speak to you all. My name is Bill Farrell. I've lived in Milford for 35 years. I'm married. I have 4 children, all of which went through the Milford education system. I have over 40 years experience in the financial industry and budgeting. I'm currently a vice president at Wells Fargo in the Wealth Management Division. I've also been an instructor in the Milford Adult Education Program for 15 years. I've also served on the Assessment Review Board and the Pension Board. One of my focuses, if elected, would be to develop what I consider to be a sound, responsible budget. I also believe we have to figure out a way to give more control of the classrooms back to our teachers. All the teachers I talk to say they feel they're micromanaged and they just have to spend too much time on non-teaching items. I believe we have to develop more dialogue between the teachers, the administrations, and the PTA, and try to find ways to improve our system. Education of our children is one of the most important things we are responsible to do, and that's what I, if elected, strive for. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Just with a show of hands so we can be clear, can I have all the incumbents raise your hands, please? Incumbents, raise your hands. And the challengers, raise your hands now. Just to keep things clear. Okay, now we're going to choose the questions so the tough part is out of the way. I do want to point out before we start that we do have our timers down here. As you know, 1 bell means 15 seconds left. 2 bells means that's it, try to wrap up your thoughts. But our timers tonight are the president of the Milford PTA Council, Carol Thomas, is our timer, and our first vice president, Christina Free. So there are timers tonight. So no arguing. No arguing. If you argue, you're out. So what we'll do now is we'll choose our first, trying to be very fair about this. We'll choose our first, I don't know which bucket my hand is in. I know that's right and left. We're going to choose our first name. That person will choose heads or tails. So we'll choose over here. Nice big letters. Tom Jagodzinski is our first answerer. Tom, you get to choose who goes first or last of the whole line. How's that? Heads or tails? And look, it's a gold dollar. Heads. Tails. So our next name, you lost, and I hope that doesn't mean anything for the election. So, because he is a Republican, our Democrat will choose first or last. Sorry, Tom. Right in front of everybody on TV and everything. Ah, it's horrible. And that will be Claire Casey. Claire, do you wish to go first, or do you wish for Tom to go first? You go first, all right. And our first question. I have a lot of hats I have to manage over here, so bear with me. Our first question of the evening goes to Claire Casey, 5th District Democrat. 5th District, of course, is downtown Milford, and part of the coastline. And here's our first question. Claire, can you hear me okay? Okay. Describe your view on what it takes to develop a culture of education in Milford. How do you see the district working toward this today and into the future? Again, describe your view on what it takes to develop a culture of education in Milford. How do you see the district working toward this today and into the future?
I really think the culture begins in the classroom with our teachers. They are the ones who are on the front line with our students. They are working with them every day. They know what their abilities are. They know what their strengths and weaknesses are. And we need to look as well to our administration to give us direction in the school. I think it is so important that we make sure, first and foremost, that we value our teachers and that we take into consideration what they need, their resources, the level of their students in their classrooms, and what the children's strengths and weaknesses are. I think that makes a huge difference of the climate in the school to make sure that we are supporting those teachers in every aspect.
Okay, thank you, Claire. The same question goes to Tom Jagodzinski, 3rd District Republican. Describe your view on what it takes to develop a culture of education in Milford. How do you see the district working toward this today and into the future?
This is really unbelievable. This is exactly the same question I got 2 years ago. And, you know, our school district faces a lot of challenges. If you take a look at how our schools are doing compared to comparable school districts, every single grade level, we're below average. And that's the issue that we should be focused on, not issues like this. We have an environment where we're testing our kids to death. People talk about kids being in school for 2 weeks and not having any classes, but simply being tested. We need to stop this over-testing, and we need to begin turning that time over to teaching. We need to have a school board that listens to parents. As I go out and I talk to parents, and I tell them, you know, if you don't think things are right, you've got to go to board meetings. You've got to speak up. And what they tell me is, nobody's listening. Well, we've got to have a board of ed that's actually listening to our people. I belong in the 3rd District, and our schools are not doing as well as schools in the rest of the city. I want to know why. The Board of Education has been focused over the last couple of years making sure that every school gets the same programs and the same resources. But when I talk to teachers, they tell me, no 2 students are the same. You have to customize to the student. The same thing is true of our schools. No 2 schools are the same. Our board should stop focusing on making sure everything is equal and start focusing on making sure that we're providing exactly the right services for each of our schools. Those are the issues I think we need to be addressing. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, was that really the question you had 2 years ago?
Absolutely.
First the coin toss, then the question.
I didn't win the coin toss.
You know, this were dinner, you'd have the gift basket and the trip to Vermont. Can we give him the $1? The coin toss? Okay, thank you, Claire, thank you, Tom. Our next question, Tom's a Republican, so our next question starts with the Republicans. And that question will start out going to Michael DeGrego, our 1st District Republican. Michael, let's find you a question here. Hopefully not the same question Tom just answered. And look at this. It's like a couple paragraphs here. With regard to the performance evaluation system that has been put in place for all teachers and administrators, this new system requires input from administrators, students, and parents, as well as student standardized test scores. Some people are pleased with this increased sense of accountability. Others believe it is unfair for teachers to be judged in this way. What are your thoughts on this? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Would you mind?
Sure. With regard to the performance evaluation system that has been put in place for all teachers and administrators, this new system requires input from administrators, students, and parents, as well as student standardized test scores. Some people are pleased with this increased sense of accountability. Others believe it is unfair for teachers to be judged in this way. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. About 12 years ago, I graduated from City University of New York. And I became a teacher. And I'll never forget Professor Gross. He said to me, Mike, you're not teaching 20 kids in a class. You're teaching 20 individuals with special problems, needs, and backgrounds. Teach to 26 personalities and you won't have a problem. But when I graduated, he said to me, we're going to start teaching for tests. So you got to be mindful of that. You can't just teach the curriculum. And certain politicians, not in this state, wanted to evaluate the teachers on the tests, and the teachers were upset. They said, well, who's going to evaluate the politician? Not in this state. So when I teach for the curriculum and I teach for the test at the same time. However, a lot of students don't do as well on a test. Yet when they go on in life, they're so successful. Kudos go to those teachers. I've talked to some teachers in Milford here, and students have come back from wherever they are, however successful, to thank the teachers for what they did in Milford, because we have the best teachers in the state. And with that said, everywhere I go, there's a positive attitude. And if a teacher teaches well, they should do well on a test, but some don't. And they shouldn't be judged just on that. However, the state and the administrators need some kind of measurement to make sure that everyone is being taught and everybody is, no one's slipping through the cracks. Thank you very much.
And next, our Democratic answer from Ed Grasso-Arnold, 1st District Democrat. If you get the question repeated, I'll repeat the question. With regard to the performance evaluation system that has been put in place for all teachers and administrators, this new system requires input from administrators, students, and parents, as well as student standardized test scores. Now, some people are pleased with this increased sense of accountability, while others believe it is unfair for teachers to be judged in this way. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it are that, first of all, everybody has metrics to measure whatever it is that they do. So I suppose that they should come along with everyone else's metrics. I think the administrators obviously the administrators always had input on this. And in recent history, we're taking test scores into account. That's sort of a given at this point. But I believe that the parents and the students' input is vital. We've all had teachers that maybe their test score performance wasn't so great, but they're a great teacher. They're dedicated. They're doing what they can for each child. I've had teachers that in the elementary school made a special spelling list for each kid every week based on what they got wrong in their writing the week before. These are things that can't be measured by test scores. These are things that maybe administrators don't see, and parents do, and children do, students do. I think students have a great part in this and haven't been given a lot of credit before. At every age, they know what's up. Not just the older kids, but the younger kids too. They can tell you just what's going on in that classroom. At least my kid's good. I think it's a great idea. I think the more input you have, the better evaluation you have, and the better measure of what kind of teacher you have you're going to see in the end. I think it's a great idea. I think anybody who's against it, I don't know, maybe they have a good reason. But I have a good reason to think that parents and students should have their input. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, time for our third question. And this goes to a Democrat. Everybody's wondering who's it going to be. C. Robert Sadi Jr. from the 3rd District. And the question is, I feel like Alex Trebek. How familiar are you with our schools as they are today? When was the last time you were in one of the schools, and what were your impressions of the school during that visit?
Thank you very much, Brian. One of the first things I did when I got appointed to the board, especially with the issue of reconfiguration, I visited 4 of the 8 elementary schools that were impacted by that. I visited Calf Penn, I visited Meadowside, Matthewson, and Orange Avenue. And had it not been for the weather and storm-related issues, I would have been in all the 8 schools. The most recent visit I'm suggesting would have been Orange Avenue, which would have been last spring. So I have been there. One of the things I found amazing was the issue, first going through the door and being greeted by the greeters at that point, being the wonderful principals, and then finally getting a chance to see really the jewels of the system, the youngsters in the hallways or in the classrooms. I was very blessed to have one of the young ladies that was a roommate with my daughter, who was actually teaching in one of the schools I visited over at Calf Penn, and just to see the amazing work that our teachers do was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And now our Republican answer comes from John DeRosa, 1st District Republican.
Can you repeat the question, Brian?
And the question again is, how familiar are you with our schools as they are today? When was the last time you were in one of our schools? And what were your impressions during the visit?
Well, considering the schools physically haven't changed much since I graduated almost 40 years ago from the elementary schools here, I'm very familiar. I've visited at least half of the elementary schools and 2 of the middle schools. I personally believe that we have some changes that we need to make within the structures of the building. You know, some of these buildings are 50 years old plus. And all we do every year, every 2 years when our budget comes around, is throwing good money after that. And I personally have an issue with some schools having air conditioning, some schools not. Some schools having fans in the building, some schools not. It needs to be uniform across the district. You know, every child should have the same opportunities, same resources available. And it's an issue when you walk into a cafeteria or a multi-purpose room that's having lunch, and the lunch aides are sweating profusely because there's no air conditioning or there's no fans available. And they've got to go out by a Kmart or Walmart and buy their own fans, and they're being told that they can't use them. I thought it was all supposed to be about the kids. This to me is a problem. So if you ask me, how familiar? I'm very familiar. But we need to change some things. We need to make it more uniform across the district. Thank you.
Our next question goes to a Republican, and that will be Frank Musanti, 2nd District Republican Frank Musanti. And the question because it is one of the most pressing issues for the Board of Education. If elected, would you support reducing the walking distances to the high schools and middle schools? And why or why not? Again, it is one of the most pressing issues for the Board of Education. And if elected, would you support reducing the walking distances to the high schools and middle schools? Why or why not?
Yes, I would support reducing the walking distance because kids walk to school from 2 miles and they're already tired before school even starts. They're not ready to learn. They don't have the ability to learn if they're already exhausted. Also, one day a kid's going to get hit and injured, and then it's going to cost us even more money because of a lawsuit than it would be if we just bust them to school. Secondly, when you have kids who play sports, they're carrying around maybe 20 pounds to school and walking 2 miles. That's not acceptable either. Half these places where the kids walk don't have sidewalks, and that's I don't know.
Fair question. Fair answer. Thank you, Frank. Frank is on the. Our Democrat answer comes from, and I'll repeat the question. Phil Zetti, 5th District Democrat. Phil, all the way down to the end. Phil, as one of the most pressing issues before the Board of Education, if elected, would you support reducing the walking distances to the high schools and the middle schools? Why or why not?
It's a tough question because the real question is, where do we want to spend our money? And I guess my understanding is the Board of Ed looked into this and they're talking about $300,000 to make the walking distance shorter. Now, I gotta think there's a better way to do it. It might be cheaper, first of all. Second of all, though, because I wasn't privy to that how-tos. As a teacher, my perspective is, yeah, it's the dead of winter and the kids walking 2 miles to school and we're expecting them at 7:20 learn chemistry class, learn chemistry with Mr. Zetti. It's probably not going to happen that well. You know what I mean? Honestly, at 7:20, that's not going to happen that well after a 2-mile walk if it's like 5 degrees out. So we got to be thinking, maybe in the long term, is there an alternative? I would say, is there an alternative to a 7:20 start to school as well? There's a lot of angles to these questions. But those are my basic thoughts. In terms of where the money would come from, I would say I've noticed in the budget, I'm no accountant, but I do read pretty darn well. And I went through that budget and I noticed about $5 million we have in administrative resources, personnel. One way, we might be able to come up with some money, might be to get some of these people in the classroom with their great resources, I'm sure some of them would teach some great classes. Some of those administrators that are, curriculum heads and stuff like that. Seriously, if they taught one class per week, for example, it would actually free up a lot of resources, and maybe that would be a way forward. All ideas, though, is a very complicated issue. The idea of students walking 2 miles to school, I don't like it. I know the best districts in the state, Trumbull, Fairfield, and Canaan, 1.5 miles. That's the standard, 1.5 miles. I'd rather my town, Milford, be with the best districts in the state in terms of education. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil Zetti, 5th District Democrat. Our next question will come from, the next answer will come from a Democrat, and that will be from the 4th District, Earl Whiskeyman. And Earl, your question. Over the past 2 years, the district has created several new administrative positions, as well as several new roles in our schools, such as teacher leaders and greeters. In light of the fact that our enrollment is in a steady decline, what are your thoughts regarding this increase in staffing? I'd like to hear the question again.
No, I understand. Thank you. The Board of Education has one employee, and that is the superintendent. The superintendent, in turn, runs the school, the entire district, from day to day, and has the responsibility to decide the best approach to do that, both from a staffing standpoint and from a infrastructure standpoint. So I believe it's important to give that individual, your president, your superintendent, the leeway to make decisions which they believe are in the best interest of the school district. While I actually personally had several votes against some of the personnel changes, I believe that we should move forward and not revisit questions that have been settled in the past, and that we need to focus on the future. And that's really a question that becomes very important as we examine all of the opportunities that lie before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl Whiskeyman, 4th District Democrat. Our Republican answer will come from 5th District Republican William Farrell. The question again is, over the past 2 years, the district has created several new administrative positions as well as several new roles in our schools, such as teacher leaders and greeters. In light of the fact that our enrollment is in a steady decline, what are your thoughts regarding this increase in staffing?
I think the Board of Education has a couple of functions. One, obviously, is to make sure that the quality of the education is being delivered properly to our students. I think we also have a financial responsibility. As I take an overview of the total budget for the Board of Education, I just see continued increases, even in the face of declining enrollment. I think our problem is not really the personnel or the intent or the quality of our teachers. I think we have a structural problem. It seems to me, from my business experience, that we have developed a multitude of layers of responsibility, and a lot of people are just reporting to each other. As still specific questions, I don't really know. But I think in the global, one of the things we should look at is exactly how we deliver the education and how we have set up an administration chart, and take a look at each position and see if they're necessary, if it's a duplication, or if it's being underutilized.
Thank you, 5th District Republican William Farrell. And our next question will first be answered by a Republican. And that will be 3rd District Republican Susan Krasinski. The question will be paragraph 1. What do you believe should be the long-term plan for retention of Milford students in our high schools? Would you suggest unique programming or a magnet program similar to the agri-science program at Trumbull High School, but perhaps focus on ocean science and conservation because Milford is a shoreline city? The agri-science program at Trumbull and the Sound School, New Haven, are excellent models for us. Surrounding towns can send students and help to offset any costs associated. So I guess the question is, what do you believe should be the long-term plan for retention of Milford students in our high schools? Does the answer lie in unique program or magnet programs such as agri-science or the Sound School? And again, 3rd District Republican Susan Krasinski.
I think we need to focus first before we decide to go with a magnet program on the issues we have right now with test scores, with our ranking among other schools. I think we need to focus on the basics and getting back to getting our schools and our students up to par with other people in the area, with Trumbull and Shelton and that. I don't think that a magnet school is a bad idea, but at this point in time, when we've just redistricted and we've been, there's been so much turmoil in the school system for the last 5 years, I think we need to focus on the basics and sit back and let that work for a while before moving on. And maybe 5 years down the road, that's when we start looking at a long-term plan for magnet school, but not now.
Thank you. 3rd District Republican Susan Krasinski. And the Democratic answer will come from 1st District Democrat Patrick Pacelli. The question again, what do you believe should be the long-term plan for retention of Milford students in our high schools? Would you suggest unique programming or a magnet program similar to the agri-science program at Trumbull High School, but maybe focused on ocean science and conservation because Milford is a shoreline city?
Thank you, Brian. I think before we make a determination if we need to move towards a unique program or a magnet program, we need to look at some historical data and take a look at what has been successful and what has failed in communities around us, and then look at how that will ultimately impact our budget. Ultimately, the long-term goal of the Milford school system has to be to deliver the best possible education. We have to be able to give every student the opportunity to succeed. We have to have the best special need programs available, and we have to give each child, regardless of what district he's in, what school he or she is in, the best opportunity to go forward, move ahead, and achieve their goals. Milford has great teachers, a great administration, and I think with that combined and an open line of communication with the board, there's really nothing that should prohibit this town from moving forward and evolving into one of the top districts in the state of Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you. First District Democrat Patrick Pacelli. Our next question, a new question, we'll go to a Democrat, and that will be 4th District Democrat Jess Gregory. And Jess, your question will be, in Milford, class size has long been a focus of the community. Some believe small class size is essential in the learning process, while others believe small class size is a luxury. And given today's economy, it should not drive our staffing needs. What are your thoughts on the subject of class size? And again, 4th District Democrat, Jess Gregory.
So there's a couple ways to answer this, as a teacher and as an academic, and this is hard. As a teacher, I know that it's much easier to meet the needs of my students when I can meet the needs of each individual student. And so when the class size is smaller, I can get to know each student much better. And so class sizes that are smaller help me know each student much, much better. And so class sizes help me get to know my students better, and so I can meet their needs better. And so from my teacher point of view, I say class sizes are smaller, help me do that better. As an academic, I can point to research on both sides of that argument. As a Board of Ed candidate, from my heart, I want to say that smaller class sizes are going to give our students those experiences, having the teachers get to know them better. And so that's where I'm going to stand on that. And so I'm going to waffle towards the side of smaller class sizes are going to be better for our students. They're going to give them those experiences to get to know their teachers better. And so that's where I stand on that right now.
Thank you. 4th District Democrat Jess Gregory. And the Republican answer will come from 4th District Republican Isla Tokars. And the question again is, Milford class size has long been a focus of the community. Some believe small class size is essential in the learning process, while others believe small class size is a luxury. And given today's economy, it should not drive our staffing needs. What are your thoughts on the subject of class size?
Well, I think I agree with Jess. It's a tough topic. Having been in classrooms where I've had 35 students, including myself, you kind of get lost in the crowd. When you're in a classroom with 20 students, you get that more personal attention. And knowing that we need to balance the finances and the needs of our students, you know, part of it may be looking at the subject. You know, something like history, maybe you can teach in a larger type classroom, but we're teaching math or science, where there's more focus and more detail. We may need to look at that and having those as smaller classrooms. I think smaller is always better because you do get to get that one-on-one focus with the students and can answer more questions for them. But again, we have to weigh it out with everything we have and the resources. We may not always have enough math teachers, so we may have to have larger classes. It just really depends on the resources and the needs of the children. But whatever we do, we need to really look at all those details and make the best possible decision to give the best possible education.
Thank you. Isla Tokars, 4th District Republican. And our next question will be given to a Republican. We have one name left. The jack-o'-lantern hat. That will be 4th District Republican Lee Leffler. And the question. Sometimes students leave our district to attend private high schools or opt to attend magnet schools in New Haven, Bridgeport, or Trumbull. Why do you believe this happens? Do you think there is an opportunity to enhance the programs we do have at our high schools in order to compete with these other school options? Similar question to what we just had.
repeat that one more time, please?
Sure. Sometimes students leave our district to attend private high schools, or they opt to attend magnet schools in New Haven, Bridgeport, or Trumbull. Why do you believe this happens? Do you believe there is an opportunity to enhance the programs we do have at our high schools in order to compete with these other towns' school options?
Well, I believe that a lot of people have the persona that private schools are going to give you more one-on-one education, it's going to be a higher quality. In many cases, that's true. We have Laurelton Hall in our city right here, and I think Laurelton does a phenomenal job. Some people feel that the opportunities are going to be greater, that colleges are going to look at private schools. Oh, got more one-on-one teaching, more classes that are more geared toward the colleges. This isn't always true. What I feel that Milford could, how to compete against that and to keep people from leaving would be just to try to offer maybe a curriculum that's going to be more geared toward what the student, whether they be in special ed like my daughter was, be in a regular program, or possibly in some of the advanced placements, gear these students, start finding out what these students are looking for. I know it's a young age for them to be doing that, but we can start getting some of their interests and their directions that they might be able to take. And if we can start figuring out some of the programs that will gear them to stay within this school district, as opposed to going to other schools that might offer some of the things that we do, I think we'll have a better opportunity to teach them, and there'll be more opportunities for them going to some of the higher end schools throughout this country. But not everybody needs to go to higher end schools, in my opinion. We should be teaching a lot of different things, also in some of our technical areas, whether it be plumbing, electrical, things in that line, some of the industrial arts in the high schools, things in that, because not everybody wants to go to college. I've seen this happen, especially with my daughter, my oldest daughter, is that she's not able to go to college because she's just not at that level. But the opportunities to teach her some different things at levels that she will understand and give her the opportunities and the goals for her future, that she can come into this world and compete against the others, and something that she enjoys doing, I think, is what is very, very important that we should be doing. And if we offer, as I said before, a lot of these different programs and start finding what the students are looking for, we can start keeping more students in our school district as opposed to having them go to some of the outside magnets.
Thank you. 4th District Republican Lee Lepper. And we'll get the answer from Democrats. This will be 2nd District Democrat Susan Glennon. The question again, sometimes students leave our district to attend private high schools, or they opt to attend magnet schools, New Haven, Bridgeport, or Trumbull. Why do you believe this happens, and do you think there's an opportunity to enhance the programs we have in our high schools now in order to compete with these other towns' school options?
The why. I think in some cases it's simply, it's the family choice, family value. The family feels that they would prefer private education, so that's what their child is going to do no matter what is offered in Milford. The magnet schools in the area offer specialized learning, and I'm not sure why we feel we need to compete with them. I think in Milford we do offer a lot of well-rounded opportunities for our students, whether it's going on to college, the military career. The guidance offices are, they work with students to meet whatever their needs and their desires are. We have opportunity in the high school for individualized learning. We have internship opportunities. We do offer a lot of arts classes, music, visual arts, technology. I think we do offer a lot of different options for students to choose from. We have right here in Milford, we have an awesome tech school, Plaid Tech, and it's, it's a trade school. And, I think it's difficult to expect that our high schools will put all their money in one area. And I do think that what we should be doing in our public school system is to be keeping the choices very diverse so that the students have a lot to choose from.
Thank you, Susan Glenn, our 2nd District Democrat. I want to point out that we've run out of Republicans. We have 2 people who can make it here tonight. Republican from the 2nd District, Daniel Ferroni, and Republican from the 5th District, Susan DiBiase, couldn't make it here tonight. We have two of our Democrat candidates here. who haven't been asked questions, so we're just going to ask the questions to the Democrats. The first question will be to Jennifer Federico, 2nd District. And the question will be, given the budget available to the Milford Public Schools, do you believe that every child in Milford is offered the best education possible? Please give examples to support your position. Again, given the budget available to the Milford Public Schools, do you think that every child in Milford is offered the best education possible? Give some examples, if you can.
Yes. Thank you for the question. That's a great question. That's a tough question. We do have a limited budget. We have a limited amount of resources, and we're well aware that we are spending the taxpayers' money, and we need to be very careful when we're spending that money. At the same time, we want to give the best education possible to all the students that we have. So I think we need to be careful with our resources, and at the same time, I think we need to spread those resources equitably. You know, equity does not mean the same. It does not mean that every student in every classroom has the exact same experience, but they need to have all the same resources and materials available. So one example would be the positions of the teacher leaders. You know, they were in 4 elementary schools last year, and those teacher leaders were invaluable. I personally had interactions with the teacher leader at the school, elementary school that my son was at, and just seeing what she did in the morning was enough to convince me that there's value in those positions carried throughout the day. And the fact that we were able to this year expand those positions to all 8 of the elementary schools, so that the 4 other elementary schools had teacher leaders too. I think that was a great use of the funds that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer Federico, 2nd District Democrat. And our final question will go to our 3rd District Democrat, Sonia Ben, and this will be the final question in our first round. Round 2 is coming up. And Sonia, the question is, another paragraph. It's like a page out of the encyclopedia here. This person who asked the question is uncomfortable with her kindergartner's class size. Live Oak School states it has 40 kindergarten students, but they are now at 41 kindergarten students, and there are another 21 students in this person's son's class. Penn Meadow has 32 students, 16 in each class. The question is, what are your thoughts on having a budget allow for a paraprofessional to be available for kindergarten teachers with 17 or more children? Would you like the question repeated, or are you?
No, I got it. Thank you. I'm freezing up here. I don't know how you're all down there, but it must be like 40 degrees on the stage. How do I feel about hiring a paraprofessional for a kindergarten teacher with 17 or more students? I would definitely be for it. Anyone who knows education well knows that kindergarten teachers are way up here, what they have to do. They are the building blocks to education. You know, the kids just travel up, but a lot happens on that level. And 17 5-year-olds is a lot to handle. And I think we all know too that kindergarten isn't what it used to be. It's not playtime. It's not nap time. They took away naps as well. It's full day. And they're reading, they're doing math. Our expectations are a lot higher of these children, and for managing, you would definitely need another set of eyes, another set of hands. The last school I worked at, there were teacher helpers in every kindergarten and first grade, and those class sizes were about 16 to 18, and it worked extremely well.
Thank you, Sonia Bannon, our 3rd District Democrat. That concludes our first round of questions, candidates and audience. I'll tell you what, we'll take a quick break, 5 minutes, give yourselves a chance to get up and stretch, do some yoga, warm up. Usually the problem with stages is the lights make it very warm and everybody sweats. I don't know what's going on, but it is chilly up here. So So it is. Yes, everybody agrees. It's chilly. We'll go over here and turn on the electric Amish heaters. And we'll take a 5-minute break and come back for round 2. Thank you, candidates. Big hand for our candidates for round 1. We haven't heard from a Republican in a while. So let's go to the 5th District Republicans, and we only have one, Mr. Farrell. Suzanne DiBiase is at the Planning and Zoning meeting. I know there's some board meetings. So Mr. Farrell. And I understand it's kind of muddy back here. You can't understand the question, so I'm going to move down to the end there as I ask the question. Would you like to confer with anybody at all, just for the sake of conferring?
I'll talk to them.
All right. Why not? Go across the aisle.
The answer.
All right. Prior to becoming a Board of Education candidate in this election, have you ever attended a Board of Education meeting? How many Board of Ed meetings have you attended in the past year?
As I mentioned earlier, I have 4 children. The youngest is 30, so I've not really been involved in the educational process. When my children were going to school, we were very involved more with the PTA meetings. But to answer your question specifically, I have not been to a Board of Education this year.
Thank you. Quick as that. Our next questions. Our next question over to the Democrats. And it will be to our 3rd District Democrats, C. Robert Sani Jr. and Sonia Bennett. And the question is, you let me know if you can hear me okay. What would you do as a board member to increase parental engagement in the district? Please, if you can, give some specific ideas. Again, what would you as a board member do to increase parental engagement in your district? Please be specific with your ideas. This goes to our 3rd District Democrats, Mr. C. Robert Sani Jr. and Sonia Bennett.
That's a difficult question. For more parental engagement, it's difficult. I've worked in schools where they've had math night, social studies night. I think once you get children or students to showcase work or to perform something, whether it's academic or arts, that's when you get the traffic in from parents. You have to have more activities that will showcase students. Also, I think one of the schools I worked at last year, they provided a lot of professional people to come in and speak on a variety of topics that interest people. Whether it was a learning difference or maybe careers in technology, something that would happen outside of school but that would bring students and parents back. So I think what you need to do is give lots of choice of different activities and to appeal to all different people.
Thank you. For our 3rd District Democrats, C. Robert Sani Jr. and Sonia Bennett. Next, our 4th District Republicans, Isla Tokars and Lee Lepper. The question is, Please tell us of your strengths and your weaknesses and how they would play into your role as a Board of Education member.
Being a member of the board is an extremely responsible position to be in. Dealing with people, as I have done over the last 40 years being in sales, has brought strengths that I feel can be very, very positive for the growth and ideas that I can bring to the board. The key on it is that you'll be able to work with people. A lot of people say, well, I have experience, I have experience. Experience is only important when you're able to deal with people, listen to them, work with others, even if they're in opposite parties, which makes absolutely no difference. It should be what for the benefit of the children and then the parents in our education system. I get very annoyed a lot of times when people group together and they go by parties and things in that line, because you got to look at what the benefit is for the children. That's the main thing that we're interested in. We have to put aside all of that, figure out the best opportunities that are available for our children, and also, as we were just talking on the last question, the parents. We must get them involved in a lot of the process and coming to the meetings, because they're the ones, it's their children. It's going to be their future. We need to find out from the parents what kind of things that they're looking for in the educational system that will help their students become what they want to be in when they graduate from high school and go on to further education or go into the business world or whatever world that they go into. I think that some of the opportunities that are out there that we can get people more involved and help our children to excel is that I've just been working so much on boards of directors I've been on. I've been throughout across the world at different trade shows, things in that line. But I know how to work with people. And I think that's the main thing that we need to do. We have to work with each other, agree on things, take each other's ideas, work them together. And as a result of that, we can come to some great solutions and some things that can really benefit the children of our future.
Thank you, Isla Tokars, and our Speaker Lee Lepper from the 4th District Republicans. Next up, our Democrats. From the 1st District, Ed Grasso Arnold and Patrick Pacelli. And the question is, what is your investment in the Milford school system? For example, do you have children in our schools currently? Are you a product of the Milford public school system, or do you have relatives here?
Thank you, Brian. Both Ann and I have children in this system. Both of Ann's children have gone through the system, and they're very successful today. I have 2 young boys currently in Mathewson, one in 1st grade and one in the kindergarten program. Both of them started in the Threes program over at Orange Avenue. So from an investment standpoint, they have a lot of education ahead of them in this system. I believe that the system has excellent fundamentals and a great foundation, and I think through open lines of communication with the board, the administrators and the teachers, that great things could happen in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. From our 1st District Democrats, that's Ann Grasso Arnold here, and Speaker Patrick Pacelli. Back to our Republicans, and we will go to the 2nd District Republicans, Frank Musanti and Daniel Ferroni, who is not here tonight. So Frank, this question will be for you. Question is, the district has made a large investment in the implementation of technology in our schools over the past few years. Neighboring communities have gone so far as to purchase personal laptops and other portable devices for students to bring back and forth from home to school. How far do you think our district should go with regard to the implementation of technology in the Milford Public Schools?
Well, I believe that we need to have the latest technology for our students while in school. We need to make sure that the technology works. We can't have things that aren't working and then expect the teachers to be able to teach using lesson plans and using old equipment. So I believe that we need more technology, and we need to teach kids more about technology for the future, because that is the future that they're going to be facing now. Thank you for the question, Brian.
Thank you. Frank Vicente is running with Daniel Ferroni as Republicans from the 2nd District. Thank you, Frank. Next, our Democratic answers will come from the 2nd District, Susan Glennon and Jennifer Federico. And the question is, with the decline in enrollment throughout Milford, what are your thoughts on having specialized programs in the middle schools? What type of programs in the middle schools do you think we can have? And the question goes to the 2nd District Democrats, Susan Glennon and Jennifer Federico. And the question again is, with the decline in enrollment throughout Milford, what are your thoughts on having specialized programs in the middle schools? What type of programs do you think we could have in the middle schools?
Thank you for the question, Brian. I think it's wonderful if we could have specialized programs in our middle schools, but I want to be careful when we talk about specialized programs. You know, all of our students need to have that same equitable experience. So I don't want the specialized programs can't be really, really high cost programs because we have a limited amount of resources. But I would love to see us incorporate, you know, some more STEM programming or something around the arts that's available to all the students in our middle schools. And hopefully, you know, over time as funds become available, that's something that we can do. But it has to be available to all students. It can't be a model where only certain students get to take part. It has to be available to all the students. And it's actually part of our long-range plan. One of the last steps that we plan to do is create college and career pathways in grades 6 to 12. And what that means is that first of all, we want to go out to the community and solicit information from local businesses and local colleges about what type of programs they would like to see us have in the high school students and eventually bring those down to the middle school students as well. So it's really about what the community wants. That's how we would build those college and career pathways. And I think we'd have to start small, you know, with 1 or 2 in each area. And then hopefully we can build from there. Again, we have to be really careful with our funding, but I think it's a great idea and a great concept as long as it's available to all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Our candidates for the 2nd District for the Democrats, Susan Glennon, and speaking, Jennifer Federico. Can you guys hear that fan out there? Yeah, when it's really quiet, it sounds like the Mohegan Sun at 3 o'clock in the morning and one roulette wheel moving around in the background. It's shivering. You know, that could be ice caught up in the fan, too. Our next question goes to the Republicans. And that will be the Republicans from the 3rd District, Susan Krasinski and Tom Jagodzinski. The question is, red, 20. What is your view of the Board of Education budget? Do you believe it is enough, or is it too much, or is it just right, and why? Again, to our 3rd District Republican candidates, Susan Krasinski and Tom Jagodzinski, what is your view of the Board of Education budget? Do you believe it is not enough, it is too much, or it is just right, and why?
Okay, right now with our budget, the issue really isn't how much we're spending, it's how we're spending it. If you take a look at comparable school districts, and there are 23 of them in the state of Connecticut, we spend more money per student than every school district except for one. If you take a look at our academic performance, in every grade, in every subject, we're below average compared to those school districts. So when you are spending a lot of money and you're below average results, the issue is not how much money you're spending, the issue is how you're spending that money. And that's really where the board needs to focus its attention. Thank you.
Thank you, our 3rd District Republican Susan Krasinski, and speaking for the 3rd District Republicans, Tom Jagodzinski. Next we go to the Democrats of the 5th District. This would be Claire Casey and Phil Zeddy. And the question is, do you believe you can represent all of the children in Milford with their varying needs and abilities fairly and without prejudice? Provide an instance in which you have provided support or served as an advocate for children in Milford. Did you understand that? Would you like me to repeat
Yeah,
that?
repeat it one more time, please.
Okay. Do you believe that you can represent all of the children in Milford with their varying needs and abilities fairly and without prejudice? Provide an instance in which you have provided support and or served as an advocate for children in Milford.
I'd say absolutely. I hope everybody at this table would be able to serve children without any prejudice to which children those were. I think that's one of the primary responsibilities of the board. As a teacher, I don't know. I'm going to pass the mic to Claire in a second, but I would go ahead and point to my teaching record. I serve remedial chemistry and science students every day, and they go home saying, "I love chemistry," which is something that you don't hear a lot. At least when I was in high school, you didn't hear that a lot. My students say, "I love chemistry. I love chemistry labs," and I think that's a reflection of the organization and the thoughtfulness that I put into lessons and the care that I have for children. And I know Claire's had similar experiences, so I'll pass the mic over to her.
We can only have one person can answer. Just one person gets the microphone in this round.
Hey, well, I know, as my one person then, I know that Claire is also, she's an elementary school teacher.
Perfect.
And she cares about the children as well. I mean, I don't know there's one person at this table that's going to say that a no to that, you know what I mean? So, not to bash the question, but...
She can write notes, you can read them. But one person gets the microphone in this round.
Got it. Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your answer? Thank you. 5th District Democrats, Claire Casey, and our speaker, Phil Zeddy. Thank you. Next, to the Republicans. The jack-o'-lantern's empty. The last one, our 1st District Republicans, John DeRosa and Michael DeGrego. And the question is, what has been your personal involvement in our schools? Have you volunteered in our schools? Are you, or have you ever been a member of a PTA or a PTO in any of our schools? Again, the question is, what is your personal involvement in our schools? Have you volunteered in our schools? Are you, or have you ever been a member of the PTA or PTO in any of the Milford Public Schools?
Thank you, Brian, for the question. Just to let you know that Mike has taught violence and crime classes at Jonathan Law. He also participates in the September 11th tribute to Jonathan Law. And as for myself, I used to go to school here a long time ago, and as a parent, my kids are a little bit older. I was involved with the PTA, but recently I decided that in order to get involved with the board, I wanted to make sure my kids were out of the system, and I want to make sure I had no ties to the system itself other than being an advocate for the children. I didn't want to play favorites. I want to make sure that I can speak for all kids, all children, all families in the district. So as for, my involvement in the PTA or PTO, it was a long time ago. But other than that, my active involvement right now is on the board. I've served one member, one term already, being a minority leader, and hopefully being re-elected again. Thank you.
Thank you. From the 1st District Republicans, Michael DeGrego, and speaking, John DeRosa. And our last group to answer, the 4th District Democrats, Earl Whiskeyman and Jess Gregory. And the question. Regarding your decision to run for the Board of Education, is it your wish to help enhance the educational system, or do you have a specific passion for one or two specific answers or issues? Again, regarding your decision to run for the Board of Education, do you want to help enhance the educational system generally, or do you have a specific passion for one or two specific issues?
Thank you. I think if listening could be considered a specific passion or issue, then that would be what I would consider to be my specific passion or issue. I think it's important that a Board of Ed member really listen to all the people in my district, the 4th District. That I think is the most important thing for Earl and myself, to listen to the people we represent. So that would be the main issue, which speaks to enhancing education generally, I suppose. Every issue that the parents bring to us would then become the issue that we would then champion. Earl, do you think that represents? So, yes, I think we would want to represent the parents in our district, and not just the parents, but everyone who lives in our district. They are really who we want to represent.
Thank you very much to our 4th District Democrats, Earl Whiskeyman and Jess Gregory. Jess Gregory speaking. That concludes our questions in the second round. Now we're going to wrap up things with a closing statement from each one of our fashion statement. A closing statement from each one of our candidates, and we'll start down this end with our 1st District Democrats and Grasso Arnold. Your closing statement, please. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you to the PTA Council for having us here and allowing us this time to put forth what we believe in and why we're doing this year. I'm passionate about everything to do with kids and education. I think it needs to be equitable. I think it needs to be thoughtful. I think everything about the Milford Public Schools needs to be about children, about the safety, mental health, physical health, security, education, everything there is to do with kids. I think we need better counseling to get them into colleges. There's a lot of things that need to be looked at, and I think every policy in the district needs to be reevaluated every couple of years because times change, things change, and kids change. And I think it's time to have a schedule for that and have a schedule for a lot of other things. There's a lot that needs to be done, and I'm passionate about getting that done for the benefit of all the children of Milford. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy Grasso. Arnold. Now, closing statement, Patrick Pacelli, 1st District Democrat.
Thank you, Brian. I'd like to thank the PTA for putting this evening's forum together. I'm confident through my personal and professional experiences I can bring value to this board. I believe in a strong education for our children, a strong special needs program, strategies that will assist in moving the system forward. I believe all this can be accomplished through strong communication, open-minded thinking, teamwork, and transparency between the board, the community, and the administration. In the end, it's all about our children, and that needs to be our main and number one focus at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick Pacelli, 1st District Democrat. Next up, closing statement, John DeRosa, 1st District Republican.
Again, I would like to thank all those who were able to be here this evening for this year's forum. I'd just like to let you know I'm here to stay. This past summer, I dealt with a lot of personal issues, but I fought my way through it, and I still stayed involved with the board. Being a lifelong Milford resident, I stayed here to raise my family. I've committed my future to this city. I've gone back into the classroom and actively teaching the next generation of America in education. I'm educated and I know what it takes to get an education. I pay my taxes and understand the value of getting what you pay for. This to me is just not a volunteering opportunity, but another way I can share my passion and ideas to the children and families of Milford to provide them more opportunities. If re-elected to the board, I promise to continue to challenge and provoke the current system to change for the better and will not be satisfied with the status quo. My only stake in this election is to ensure that the children are given the best chance of getting the best education. I am willing to fight not only for the children in my district, but all the children in every district, as a good number of you can already attest to. As minority leader, I led the charge of protecting Harborside not being closed, and also worked in getting the school configuration back to K-5. You have a choice in a little more than a week from now for those that you choose to elect, that have been true advocates for your children and will continue to fight for the needs, or you can vote others and start again. I hope that with my proven track record, I'm a valuable resource to the Milford Public School System and to the families of Milford. Thank you.
Thank you, John DeRosa, 1st District Republican. And 1st District Republican, Michael DeGrego. Closing statement.
Thank you. I want to address my last minute talk to the Milford community at large. I'm talking to the people out here that don't have children in school anymore and have once before come to the events. I'm imploring to the Milford community to come to the events. We have a lot to offer as far as sports, entertainment, etc. And if you see that something's going on, I urge you to come out. I mean, I was in this theater earlier this year. There was snow, 12 inches on the ground. And I wasn't going to take my wife to Long Wharf or New York City. I saw shampoo, hairspray right here. And not since I saw Annie on Broadway have I seen such a musical. I'm telling you. And for a price of a ham sandwich, you could have came and got entertained the whole night. And last year at Law, they had little shop of horrors. We have a lot of talent. Come see what we're about. Come see what programs we have, what things we have to offer. Friday, I'm coming here to see foreign play, West Haven. Come to a football game. You're going to enjoy yourself and you're going to see what our children are all about. Not only in the classroom, but out. And you get to meet the staff and you get to meet the teachers in an informal arrangement. Thank you very much.
Michael DeGrego, 1st District Republican, thanks for making me hungry. The price of a ham sandwich. Closing statement, Susan Glennon, 2nd District Democrat.
Thank you, Brian. Ultimately, I think that we all have the same core belief, and that is that we want to make our school system better. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine why anybody would want to run for the board if that really isn't truly what they want to accomplish. I agree with Mr. DeGrego. We do have a lot to offer in Milford Public Schools, and I am so proud of our school system. I'm proud of our teachers, I'm proud of our students, I'm proud of the entire staff, and every person that has a hand in what goes on in our schools. And I truly believe that Milford Public Schools is in a better place today than it was 4 years ago. We have seen improvements in our academic achievements. We have seen our graduates going on to awesome colleges and awesome careers. We've made huge advances in technology, and we continue to offer a cadre of courses that really will challenge our students, and offer them what it is that interests them. But can we always do better? Absolutely. We can always do better. If we rested on our laurels, I think that would be the saddest state. I want to say that I do listen, and that's the only promise that I can make. The promise that I can make is what I will do. I do listen as when constituents talk and when parents come out and speak with us. I do take into consideration all the different points of view before I make a decision. It's not easy being on the board. We're sworn officers of the state. We are sometimes bound by laws and rules. We can't always do what we want to do because there might be something of that nature getting in the way. But I promise to work hard. I work really hard at this. It is my passion. I love our schools, and I just want to see our schools have every opportunity to improve and get better. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan Glennon, 2nd District Democrat. And now closing statement, Jennifer Federico, 2nd District Democrat.
Thank you, Brian. I want to thank the audience for coming out tonight, and I want to thank those of you on watching on television for staying with us this long. I just want to say that I've served on PTA boards. I served as a PTA treasurer, not 1, but 2 years. So if that doesn't show that I'm committed, I don't know what would. I'm a very committed volunteer who's not afraid of hard work. And like many parents and community members, I was unhappy with the K-235 configuration in our elementary schools. And I embraced an opportunity to join the board last year, knowing that we had a lot of hard work ahead of us to correct and fix that situation. And I wanted to be part of that solution. And I'm so glad that we did. I was in our schools at the beginning of the year, and there was a buzz, there was an excitement. People were happy to be going to school in their neighborhoods, and I think it was just wonderful. And I think we have an excellent school community here in Milford, with many passionate, hardworking, committed parents, teachers, and staff members. And I'd like to continue the work that we've started in making our school system even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer Federico, 2nd District Democrat. Now, a closing statement from Frank Musanti, 2nd District Republican.
Thank you. I would like to thank the PTA for holding the forum tonight, and I'd also like to thank Paul for giving me the opportunity to run for this office. I'm running because when I go door to door, I hear people say they don't feel like they have a voice in this district, and they don't feel like they have a voice representing them. I promise to make sure that they have a voice and listen to them before I make any decision. I promise not to put politics and parties before the people that I'm going to represent. And I want to make sure that the schools in Milford are the best and that the taxpayers are getting the best, that they spend their money for and give their money to us. I want to make sure that they are returned with very great education for the future of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank Musanti, 2nd District Republican. We pass the microphone now to C. Robert Sackey Jr., 3rd District Democrat. Closing statement.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank the PTA Council because I've been on the board for a year, and I believe this is probably the earliest going to leave a board meeting in a long time. I made a conscious choice to run for election. I could have just said I've had enough of a year. And it was a very difficult year, it was a very trying year, but I can tell you the members of the board worked hard, and it was a group effort. And to suggest that the voices are not heard, whether it's the 25 people left in this room, or all people watching the TV, the board listens, and as was pointed out by other members of the board, we always have to make a difficult decision. I've made a commitment through all my life to deal with youth. I've been involved in education for over 40 years, although not the elementary school level, mostly the adult level. My professional career. And I continue to serve, continue to have the passion for youth and expect to serve in this board in a manner that's appropriate, looking for all of the items that are important, the students first, budget second, and teachers and administration last. Thank you very much.
Thank you, C. Robert Sackey Jr., 3rd District Democrat. And also from the 3rd District, also a Democrat, Sonia Bannon. Closing statement.
Thank you. It's much warmer up here now. No, my jacket on. I believe we all share a common focus, and it's the students. But we do have a fiscal responsibility, and we've heard it over and over again. It's expensive. Education is expensive, and it's really how you spend your money that counts. And those Board of Ed meetings do go awfully late. And when people ask me, what are you doing? Why are you running? And it comes down to you want to have the best education that you can have. And I also believe that to reach all of our learners in our school district, and children learn in a variety of different ways, we really need to really focus and get the best educators that we have. And we have great educators here, really wonderful ones, but they need more. They need more support, more training, more professional development, and I really feel if we can do that, then we will provide the very best for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia Bennett, 3rd District Democrat. Now we go to the Republicans, 3rd District, and Susan Krasinski, closing statement.
Thank you, and thank you all for staying here all this time. I don't have all the answers, but I know that if I'm elected, I'm going to work really hard for the students of this district. I'm going to work with the other members of the board, and hopefully we can create an atmosphere of mutual respect and nonpartisan cooperation. I'm going to put the children of Milford first and the welfare of them in all decisions that I make. And I think importantly, I'm going to try to open up the lines of communication between the Board of Ed administration and members of the community. Because as a parent, I've felt firsthand how frustrating it is when we don't feel as parents that we're heard by the board all the time. And if I'm elected, I'll listen to the people that I represent, and I'll make sure that your voices are heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan Krasinski, 3rd District Republican. Now, 3rd District Republican, Tom Jagodzinski, closing statement.
Okay, now Jagodzinski is a hard name to remember, but it's the longest one on the ballot, so it's easy to find. We have good schools, but no district is perfect. When people tell me they have concerns, I suggest they attend board meetings and speak out. More often than not, they tell me no one listens. People also tell me they don't want a board that's politicized. They don't like party line votes, cheap political posturing, or board members engaging in secret backroom discussions. My promise to you is that if elected, I'll do everything in my power to help create a nonpartisan board that listens and is accessible to our students, parents, and residents. A board willing and able to help them with issues they may have. A board whose only concern is the welfare of our students and our city. I'm really excited about the opportunity to serve on the board. And frankly, my wife wants me out of the house. So on behalf of both of us, I hope you'll vote for me on Tuesday, November 3rd. If you're not going to vote for me, the election day is Wednesday, November 4th. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'll cross the front here. Thank you, Tom Jagodzinski, 3rd District Republican. Now we go to the 4th District, our Democrat, Earl Whiskeyman.
Thank you. I want to thank the community for the opportunity to be of service. I've had the privilege of serving on the board for the last 4 years. And I'm running again because, as my neighbor said, I must be a glutton for punishment. But I have had that opportunity, and even though we've had to make some difficult decisions and there are complexities involved in that decision making, seem to have lost it. Oh no, here we go. Even though there are difficulties in making those decisions, I believe that this is something that serves the community well in having a voluntary board of education, as well as a voluntary board of aldermen and a voluntary planning and zoning board. And I've also had the privilege, because of my service on the board, to also attend as a liaison on behalf of Milford to the Board of Governors at ACES, which serves a number of students in the entire area, including those on the spectrum and those who attend magnet schools. And advocating for Milford students has been a privilege, and I hope to extend that. And I want to thank you once again for allowing me to be of service.
Thank you, Earl Whiskeyman, 4th District Democrat. And now, 4th District Democrat, Jess Gregory, closing statement.
Thank you. I want to thank the PTA again. I want to give a little shout out again to parents, as parents are more than sources of baked goods and poster board. Parents know their children best and are crucial partners in education. Board policies must be inclusive, not exclusive of parents. While we on the board don't manage the day-to-day activities in schools, we do set the tone by making sure we are always open and really listening, as my colleague said, to what parents and students have to say. When I talked to some of my teacher friends, they always knew they wanted to be teachers, but I didn't. When I became a teacher, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I found my calling in education, and it is a calling. Now, I teach teachers to be leaders. I coach listening skills and professional development skills, how we can help each person really maximize their own potential, how they can help maximize the people they work with, maximize their potentials they find in other people. I want to practice what I preach about servant leadership. I really want to represent the people in the 4th District. I want to ultimately serve students in Milford to make education better here. This will make us even more proud to be Milfordites. We choose to live in Milford, and I would like you to choose me to serve you in this capacity.
Thank you, Jess Gregory, 4th District Democrat. Now we go to the Republicans in the 4th District, and we start with Isla Tokars.
I'd like to thank the PTA Council again for providing us with this opportunity to speak. Thank you to everyone here who has shown up, and to those who are going to watch this over and over again on TV. That's taking time out of your busy schedule as well. I am truly honored to run for the Board of Education for our 4th District, and hope to bring a fresh set of eyes to the board. You know, I continuously hear from parents out there throughout the city. The students are spending so much time on testing. You know, what is all this testing? What's necessary? We hear that teachers are teaching to test. Teachers need to teach so students can learn. We need to really empower the teachers to do that, and then that will just increase our learning to our students. We need to build relationships, act with integrity, and keep politics out of education. We need to let our kids learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Isla Tokars, 4th District Republican, and fellow 4th District Republican, Lee Lepper.
Once again, I want to thank the PTA and everyone here for the opportunity to speak with you on your behalf tonight, and hope that I can represent your ideas, especially your ideas, on the Board of Education. It's an extremely important position, since along with the teachers, we help to determine the future that our students will be given, and help them choose the path that they will lead them to their career goals or opportunities in life that will be the most promising for them. Once again, I mentioned the question that was given to me before, that many people talk about experience. It's important in any office, and I totally agree with you. Experience is important, but it doesn't mean how many years you've been on a board or how many years you've been in office. It's how well you work with others and how you listen to them, and you collectively work with your ideas and their ideas to mold them for the benefit of the community and the students. Whether or not you as a board member agree with them or not, you must listen to everyone's ideas and combine them with yours and produce the most positive input that will benefit all. I ask that on election day that you vote for me, and I think that I can be your representative as opposed to somebody else's representative or what's on behalf of a particular party. Working with others has been a skill of mine that I really finessed over the last 40 years, and I feel that I can contribute to the board this particular skill, and we can work together and mold as one unit as opposed to different units. I thank you once again for letting me speak today, and I hope to get your vote on election day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Lepper, 4th District Republican. Next, Claire Casey, our 5th District Democrat, closing statement.
Thank you, Brian. I just wanted to thank the PTA Council again for sponsoring this event. I can't stress enough, and it is so extremely important that we keep the lines of communication open between the administration, between the Board of Ed, our parents, and our school community. Everyone works so hard. Our parents, our teachers, our staff, you are on the front lines with our students every day, and we thank you for your hard work and your dedication. One of our highest priorities, of course, of the Board of Education is making sure that the schools are given their best leadership. It is imperative that the superintendent and the school board work hand in hand to develop and implement the vision and policies of our school community. The board must also establish a challenging curriculum and utilize current technology while making certain that all of our students are challenged academically, but on a level that is suitable for them. Implementing policy is most effective when there is transparency in the decisions that are made, and by asking for and listening to the concerns and recommendations of those who are most affected. Those are the families in our school community. This can also be accomplished within an established school budget, utilizing the available resources and making sure that the principles and guidelines are followed by everyone. So I look forward to serving Milford in the future. As I said at the beginning, education is of the utmost importance. I teach and I spend my day with students, and they have so much to offer and so much to give and a wonderful future ahead of them. And I know that we can all be a huge part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire Casey, representing the 5th District as a Democrat, and now also from the 5th District Democrat, Phil Zetti.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, folks, for coming out, and thanks to viewers at home on the YouTube. My name is Phil Zetti. I hope to get your vote this coming election, November 3rd. My background in teaching, I feel qualifies me to make decisions, mostly because of my perspective. I would say, if you want somebody, I mean, you gotta ask yourself, where do you want money to go? And the reason I got into this business is that, in terms of the Board of Ed, is that I do feel like I can make a difference. I see, like I said before, the 5 million supervisors who don't teach. And I mean, and I know maybe it's an unpopular thing to talk about, maybe it's unpolite or something to talk about people's salary, but $5 million of taxpayer money, I mean, I know from my house, that's $5 grand that's coming from my house in the taxes, you know, and everybody's scraping. I talk to people all over the 5th District that are scraping together the cash to pay the bills. And I want every supervisor to teach a class. Any supervisor that's going to evaluate teachers, I want to teach a class. And I'm going to advocate for that. If you can't teach a class, then you shouldn't be evaluating classes. And not to say that they can't. I know personally several administrators in Milford, and I think they're very talented people. But I think it would do a lot for the dialogue in town. Additionally, in regards to smaller classes, I've heard it called a luxury, and I'm absolutely opposed to that idea, that it's a luxury. The teachers have the opportunity to get to know students. A 15-person class where a teacher can get to know 15 people, you could call it a luxury. I would call it essential. I would also call it a safety issue. If you want to get rid of bullying or minimize that, it's a huge issue. You need a teacher who's going to know the students. Also in terms of emergency preparedness, I mean, a teacher who knows the students can go ahead and stop issues before they start. Just saying. Thank you very much. Hope you consider me. Take care.
Thank you, Phil Zetti, 5th District Democrat. And now, from the 5th District Republican, William Farrell. Closing statement.
Turn it off. I would like to thank the PTA for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I think we're very fortunate in that we have a group of very dedicated, highly skilled educational professionals that are running our school system. I do not think it's a people problem. As I said before, I think it's more a structural problem. By that I mean, again, I look back when I went to school, which granted was a long time ago, but I look at the way the system is set up now. You have the poor teacher here who's responsible to the principal and the assistant principal and the academic leaders and the coaches, all of which are telling them what to do and what reports they have to make up. So a teacher has to send up information to this level, who sends it up to the next level, who sends it, you know, you get the drift. It just seems that this has become overly complicated to the detriment of the quality of the education. I believe that we have to take a look at our budgets closely. As Tom was saying, we have increasing costs. We're not really getting, I think, a return for that money. I wouldn't, to be very simplistic, I don't think it's a bad idea for the next year's budget. Keep it flat. Now, I know there are costs coming in between insurance, benefits, and salaries. So if you have built-in costs, rising costs, you find some other place to save it. We're spending over $18,000 per child. To say that we have to continue increasing expenses every 2 or 3% a year and maintain the current ratings, I think that's wrong. And that's what I would like to take my business experience and my financial experience and take a closer look at how things are running and see if we can improve it, which would require the administration, teachers, the Board of Ed to come to some agreement. And my time is now up.
Thank you, William Farrell, 5th District Republican. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a stage full of qualified, excellent candidates. Let's give a big hand for all of them. Good luck to everybody. On behalf of the PTA, the school system, and the President, Carol Thomas, and the Vice President, Christina Freed, thank you for letting me moderate this tonight. My name is Brian Smith.
Thank you very much. It was very difficult to put a list together of thank yous. In what order? So in no particular order, let's start with you. Thank you very much. Every year you're so helpful to us. Thank you. The candidates, it is very difficult to sit up here. We know that. Prepare everything, getting it on time, make sure it's perfect. The bell, I hate the bell. We need the bell, I'm sorry. But thank you very much for coming out tonight. It's very valuable. Let's see, Richard Smith and Paul Beckwith, Bourne High School for their help in setting up, Kara Flannery for GMAT, Kathy Benetti for her help with putting together the book, and that's it. Carol Thomas, thank you very much. This is all you. You put all this together, buckets and all, so thank you very much. That's it. That concludes our program. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Drive safe.